Hello beauties! Welcome back to another episode. Today we're going to be talking about one of the most highly requested skincare routines we've ever gotten in the entirety of this channel that we have not yet made because it has not happened to us yet. But now that it has, one of us is pregnant, if you guys want to take a guess.
For the people in the back, who's having a baked potato? Okay, so like we asked you guys if you had any questions hypothetically, if one of us was to get pregnant, what would you want to know? And I think the majority of the questions that you guys sent in are about, you know, skincare, different changes, basic do's and don'ts, what ingredients you can use. So Ro's going to be talking all about what she's learned over this process, as well as hair and just like other wholesome lifestyle stuff, all in one.
Yes, and also body and how everything changes. I'm many months in. I'm like in the beginning of my third trimester and baby is due early 2025. I feel like overall this pregnancy has been very chill, which I'm very, very grateful for because I know like everyone's hormones are different, everyone's body's different, the way you react, the morning sickness and everything. If we want to get very specific to skin, body, hair, I think like many factors kind of play into it. Lifestyle changes tie into how your skin changes. So for me, like my skin, I think it's kind of mostly stayed the same. It might be a little drier, but it might also be because I'm not doing skincare every morning and night as I used to. I'm curious to see how and if yours would change from like a more oily, acne prone with PCOS and all that. And in terms of hair, my scalp did get a lot oilier. Like it's so oily now. Like after a day, I already smell my scalp and I'm like, this is peculiar. I could go for 5 days without washing my hair before. Like this really is different. And then just like a really fun, quick thing. I don't know if it's fun, but body odor changes too.
Oh.
I went from smelling.
You really used to smell like much.
Anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like my armpits got really spicy at one point and then it disappeared. And then now I smell like a newborn. I think it might be a combination of the laundry detergent that we use, but mixed with like the boobs are starting to produce a little bit of milk, or like it's actually a thing where like mothers will start smelling, I don't know, for like the baby to get used to the smell. Yeah, for the baby to get used to your scent. So anyway, that's been very interesting.
Okay, so let's dive in to specific skincare questions because you guys had a lot of them. I'm curious to know what you no longer use and what you can't use.
This is something that I'm sure if you are pregnant or if you've gone through this journey, you're just so confused because everyone is telling you different things. Like Google will have conflicting results too, even with doctors. And the reason why this happens is because if you think about it, you can't do a lot of clinicals on pregnant people because it affects like a life, right? Exactly. So I think that's just why it's like a little bit walking on eggshells and touchy depending on different people. And so my general rule of thumb that I've tried to follow is, for the most part, I will adhere to what is conventional wisdom as of right now of like, don't use as much BHA, don't use retinol, don't use chemical sunscreens, even though like the studies for chemical sunscreens might not be like an exact. Anyway, there's just like
it hasn't been like just definitively confirmed, but it's like
exactly. It's like some ingredients, some chemical sunscreen ingredient may have linked to this thing or like may have contributed to like this type of like birth defect or whatever. So in general, I try to not, but I'm also not like, if like sometimes like if I need to use a sunscreen, it's better to use like a Korean sunscreen with chemical sunscreen than to not use it. And I think for something like BHA and retinols obviously is just something that I will try to find alternatives for in the meantime. And then it's like only 9 months. I mean, 9 months, it can be a lot, but then at the same time, it's like I can always come back to it. My skin will be fine. Starting with cleansing, I think like with the cleansing step, there's not really anything too controversial. There just might be some cleansers with BHA in it or salicylic acid. The two things that I've been absolutely loving is still the Shu Amura Ultimate Sublime Cleansing Oil. And it's just the way that it applies onto your skin, the way that it takes off makeup, the way that it takes off waterproof makeup so gently, and the way that it like emulsifies very lightly, and it also washes off very easily, which is something that, I don't know, like when you're in this stage in your life where just like, I would rather not do my skincare routine and go to bed for something that's so easy, that's not gonna get everywhere. This has been an absolute, like, I've loved it, continue to love it.
I never thought about like the cleansing step, because normally you bend over and like wash your face and everything, but like now that you're in your third trimester, like having a full-on stomach, I can't even imagine like needing to bend and splash.
When I walk around now, I need to hold my belly to like, just in case if there's like edges, if I bump into it, I bump into my hand first, because you spent your whole life not thinking about this.
Yeah, it's like your spatial awareness is now completely different data points.
Yes, there are many a nights, like on the nights that I don't shower, I'll just skip skincare. But if I do put on sunscreen, at the very least, I'll go in with the Then I Met You micellar water, and this has been, like I've gone through a whole bottle. This is my second one, and I just bought 2 more for Black Friday. So it's like helping you cleanse and remove and, you know, do all of that. But at the same time, it's very nourishing and it leaves your skin feeling very hydrated. So this just has been an absolute game changer. And there's a question, changes you've noticed since you've becoming pregnant. One of the biggest changes really is just sometimes I just cannot be bothered doing my skincare, and things like this really help with the process to just, done is better than perfect.
Streamline. That makes sense.
Yes.
I mean, like you can barely stand at a certain point.
One thing you'll see a lot and hear me say a lot is just like, as Fel said, streamline and simplify. So really going back to the basics of like, what do you really need? And you just really need something that's hydrating, that gets the job done. And what hits all the boxes for me is this Caudalie Grape Spray. So this is actually James's favorite toning water that I've kind of like stole back, or like we kind of use in tandem on the days that I do shower. When I come out, this is the first thing I'll spray onto my face. And then as this is kind of like settling into my face, I'm lotioning my whole body, as I've always done. Compared to the, what is the other one? Your favorite one. The one that's scented.
The elixir.
The beauty elixir. Yeah, so this compared to the beauty elixir, this is like probably an ingredient in the beauty elixir. So this is just grape water. 100% organic grapes. And then
Doesn't
remember,
get more simple than that.
yeah, when we went to the spa, they're like, you could drink this or like put it in your mouth if you want, but like we wouldn't recommend it.
Caudalie is probably one of the best brands that you could look for if you're pregnant, because everything is natural. There's retinol alternatives, there's vitamin C alternatives, there's like everything. So it's like the perfect pregnancy brand. Or like,
It actually is.
Amazing, yeah.
And then the other one is the M Cosmetics Divine Water Perfecting Mist. Fel and I have talked about this in a previous video together. This is just like the best all-in-one makeup setting, makeup priming, moisturizing, hydrating, refreshing over the day spray that is like so humble, but it does the most. I definitely think this has like it's skyrocketed my skin makeup with like the Tier Cushion Foundation. Sometimes at night, and then this I'll use like morning and night. And the way that I kind of go about figuring out like what is quote unquote safe or not to use is there is a website called 15 Minute Beauty. I know people may have thoughts of like, oh, but like they might be fear mongering, blah, blah, blah. It might be like a little extreme or outdated. Again, with like the conflicting data, right? But I think for the most part, I refer to that as a general rule of thumb to be like, okay, well, like at least I know in like this ingredient, there might be licorice root. So maybe I won't use it, but then you know, it's just more of like a guide. Apparently, but you know how like licorice root is also kind of tied to BHAs a little bit? Like, isn't it like a natural?
I think that's willow bark.
Ah, so willow bark, licorice root, things like that. That is something that I referenced, and I actually spent an afternoon sometime like towards the end of like first trimester when I could muster up enough energy to just stand for a few hours to go through every single thing I had in like my skincare vanity. I'd put away things that I probably shouldn't use or like shouldn't use. I like put everything that was safe on the counter, and like I was actually surprised a lot of products are very pregnancy friendly. Like I was thinking I'd have to change my whole routine, but that wasn't really the case. So that is toner. And then I think when we talk about serums, which is up right now, this is where it gets the most interesting, because this is where most brands put the most active ingredients of things that like maybe you like quote unquote should avoid.
Yeah, serums I feel like is where you would change the most, because like you said, it's like
Yeah.
all actives are in serums.
But the thing is, I've actually been the most excited about serums because there's still a lot that you could use. And in our last video where I was like skin cycling with serums, I'm still doing that. And it's been amazing. I would like to think that a lot of people who use retinol or tretinoin, all of that, vitamin A, they're trying to find alternatives. And I think because vitamin A does so much, sure, there's bakuchiol and there's things out there that are good alternatives, but I also feel like this is a great time to focus kind of on the skin barrier and like the plumpness and like the collagen rebuilding of it all. And so the two things to start that kind of goes within this category that I'm supplementing, I guess, for vitamin A is, one is the Caudalie Resveratrol Lift, which is branded as the vitamin A alternative, and it is from Caudalie. Very well loved, just repurchased from the Sephora sale. When I got this product in the mail, I was like, how good could it be? I don't know, sometimes you just have these thoughts, right? But I was like, well, but like the packaging's very cute, it's pink, I'm pregnant, let's just give it a try. And I was like, first night after using, the next morning, I was like, whoa, my skin is so plump and juicy. I wonder if it's because like I drank a lot of water the night before or something. But then the more that I used it, the more I was just like, it's beyond just lifestyle things. This serum is for sure doing the most. Have you tried this?
Yeah, the texture's
Is this one of your faves?
Yeah.
The texture's beautiful. It like smells amazing. It's like one of your favorites, and it's a lot of our like skincare creator friends' favorites too. For a good reason.
So that one's a great one for retinol alternatives.
Another product that has been beautiful in plumping up the skin and strengthening the skin barrier is the Peach and Lily Copper Peptide Pro Firming Serum.
Oh
so
my
this is also
gosh.
something.
Isn't that product so cool? It's like watery.
It's watery, it's blue, it's beautiful. There's peptides and amino acid, which are all really great for plumping, smoothing out like fine lines and wrinkles, and just overall rebuilding of the skin barrier. And I feel like it does the most. Like similarly with both of these, like when you kind of use all of the things that I talk about interchangeably, it just, everything works so beautifully in tandem.
So with peptides, normally products like that have multiple different types of peptides because they all do different things. And I think there's one specifically in that one, or that is in a lot of peptide serums, called argireline. And that one's also called Botox in a bottle because it helps with the plumping, it helps with collagen synthesis, it helps with all of the things very similar to what like retinol can do. So that's why a lot of like, even for anti-aging, plumping fine lines, and well-aging, anti-aging, whatever it is, peptides are great. So that makes sense. And I feel like that one's really good to layer with other serums.
Yes. When it comes to vitamin C, the good news is that I think all vitamin C's are safe to use. The only thing to be mindful of is just whether sometimes they're formulated with ingredients like vitamin A or BHA. The first one is the Vinyl Perfect. One is already used. The other one is also almost done. So this, I feel like, is a very good pre-vitamin serum for your vitamin C, or like for anything else. Because this is like a dark spot serum, it uses the like multiple parts of the grape to help lighten your skin and to help brighten your skin. You can mix and match this with basically anything. So first I'll use this, followed by one of these serums. This is the Dr. Althea Vitamin C Boosting Serum, 20%. The Medicube Deep Vitamin C Ampule has made a comeback as well. And the reason why these two vitamin C's have been my go-to is that your smell does get heightened when you're pregnant. You just smell things you never used to smell before, and things like random things will bother you that like maybe wouldn't have bothered you before. When it comes to vitamin C, some can definitely smell like a hot dog or like very savory. It's not that it'll make me gag, but it's like close. Like your reflexes will, you'd be like, This basically doesn't smell like anything. I think if anything, it smells a little bit acidic, but it goes away. Like this goes away. This does not smell like anything.
Is that one ascorbic acid, or does it have just that fruit derivative?
I think it has both.
That's interesting. It does actually say on the product page, no unpleasant smell or yellowing. I wonder how they managed to do that. There was a question, how are you pre-combating melasma?
I have a patch forming here. It was already kind of there before I got pregnant. But with pregnancy and with just lifestyle changes and with needing to change from chemical to mineral and sometimes being lazy and getting lazy, I do find that I'm freckling a lot more, but it is also because lifestyle. But I think your skin also is more prone to sun damage. So how I'm thinking about this is I will try to take as good care of my skin as I can, but I'm not gonna stress too much over if I do get melasma, if there are freckling, if you know there are dark spots, because after birth, when I find time, I will try to like get treatments or like laser to see, just to see what it's like, just to try it out for once. But then to combat it, like the proper answer is of course sunscreen and using products like vitamin C and chemical exfoliants that we'll talk about right after. But also I think one thing that I do try to do a good job of is little things, right? If you're walking outside and you're not wearing a hat or any like protective gear or whatever, I will always try to walk in the shade so as to like not be under the sun. Or if we're driving in the car, I have this sun blocker thing that you can just stick on the window. So then I also try to do that.
The freckling is one thing, and then melasma is actually hormone induced. So then I guess that's why some people feel like it's out of control. Like even if you could be staying indoors the whole pregnancy, like you can still develop melasma. So
very last section of the serums is the chemical exfoliant. Even though I have really dry skin, because it is so dry, my T-zone overcorrects with a lot of oil. So then my pores, they're pretty visible. So then BHAs were something that I also relied on. Not as much as Fel. Fel's like the BHA queen, but I would get her Rex and use it and then, you know, help with the pores. So when pregnancy happened, I was like, okay, well, if I can't use that, what are some other things that I could use? And it's just really coming back to the basics of chemical exfoliants, just like AHAs. You can use AHA, but like within AHA, there are some that is like better than others. So like in general, almost all AHAs are safe. The only one that I like remember and that I just looked up is glycolic acid should be used like in smaller doses. They're saying like under 10% is fine, which I think it's like most glycolic acids anyway. The two that are like very, very safe is lactic acid, mandelic, and also azelaic acid. Like I know azelaic is something that people really love, but because for me, like it's not something that I used a lot and it's not something that I had readily available. I just reached for what I had in my skincare arsenal already without like having to go out and get anything new. So the two that I have, the Peach and Lily Power Cocktail Lactic Acid Repair Serum. I forgot how great AHAs can be, because both of us kind of went on this journey where we're like, oh my God, we did way too much chemical exfoliating for our face. So let's do like more K-beauty, more gentle, more hydration. But this little guy, just every time I use it, I'm just like, oh, skin looks good. Skin feels great. Skin is smooth. Skin, like anything that you put on after, it's beautiful. It is glorious.
Wow.
We have talked to Alicia, the founder of Peach and Lilies, many times on this channel in interviews, and just the way that she formulates her ingredients, the way that she's super intentional about everything that she puts in, and just like how amazing all of her products have been. It was like such a pleasant surprise when I rediscovered it.
Nice. Now I want to use it again.
The other chemical exfoliant that I've been using is the Mandelic Intense Renewal Serum. This is from Dr. Wu. And you love this for a period of time.
Yeah, I think, is that the 18% one?
Yeah, the 18%.
Love mandelic acid.
This is like very similar to the lactic acid. What is the difference to you?
I feel like the mandelic is better at balancing my T-zone and evening, whereas the lactic acid is actually hydrating, because lactic acid is hydrating, and so therefore it like plumps it in a different way, whereas the other one is slightly balancing.
So this, I feel like, has been a great BHA alternative without me knowing it. Honestly, guys, I know we're like, you tune in to hear us share our educated opinions that we've researched a lot. But for something like pregnancy, I just use what's safe and I move on with my life. Like there's already so much going on.
It's not really that complicated.
Yeah, there's so much noise. So if something feels good, if I wake up and my skin looks great, then it works. And the very last serum that I have in rotation is something that Fel talked about in the last video we filmed together. It's the Drier Ceramic Milk Ampule. Oh my goodness. When I used this for the first time, and then I followed it up with my moisturizer that we'll talk about in literally 1 second right after this, I was shocked. It was as if I just took off a mask, like a sheet mask that was soaked in this milky essence.
Yeah, dude, like I thought of you instantly the very first time I used it. Like she uses it as a dry skin girl, as a very like plush serum essence. I use it as a moisturizer. Like it's this all in one, and I'm just like glowing, and then you wake up the next morning and you're like elastic and like you're so snatched and glowy. It's so good.
It is beautiful. One of you who asked, I'm currently pregnant and my skin is way drier than usual. Any recs on extra hydration? I would say hydration obviously still comes within like the toner step, but then to use something like this, like the milky essence, to really just cocoon your skin and to lock in all that moisture and hydration, and then obviously with the moisturizer, like you will be golden. So moving on to the last skincare step, which is moisturizing. There's so many good things.
Can we just say, before you move on to moisturizer, I'm like shocked how many serums you use.
Obviously, Estura Acto Barrier Cream. This, I have gone through so many bottles, but we've talked about it in every single video that we filmed recently, so I won't harp on and on about it. There's just like a lot of skin benefiting ingredients like ceramides, peptides, lipids, all of that, where dry skin gals like me just absolutely, like my skin just drinks up. And then this was basically all I used for most of first and second trimester, because at that point, the next two products haven't been released yet. But the other two products, one of them is, okay, I'm just gonna.
What is this build up?
It's like the suspense. Okay, so one of them is the Rhode Barrier Butter, and my friends, this is like butter on your skin. It's like the perfect butter at the perfect temperature, when you can just use a butter knife. You can just very gently and easily carve out and like spread it on your toast. This is amazing, and it does the most. And they actually sent this to me, and when I cracked it open, touched it, put it on my skin, I was just like, this is so plush and buttery.
They don't lie. But is it thicker than the Astura or is the Astura?
It is thicker. I think this is definitely thicker. The Astura is more for all seasons. This is more for winter or if you have really dry skin. So this is perfect.
Nice.
The last moisturizer that we have is the Then I Met You Bonbon Cream.
Oh!
I was so surprised.
Right? It's very nourishing for a gel cream. Because normally you don't like gel creams, but this one is like...
I know.
I think it's the squalane. She also has like normal, maybe more dry skin. And I think like she added more squalane in there to make it long lasting moisturizing rather than just like a gel cream that evaporated solely for oily skin gals.
Yes. So when I put this on, I was just like, whoa, this gives you like an instant lit from within glass skin glow. It smells divine. It smells so good. It smells beautiful. I wake up like, I mean, I go to sleep so hungry, but I wake up and it's just like glass skin.
Someone asked, have you been using like the tools, beauty devices, and like what do people say about LEDs and things like that?
PC answer is ask your healthcare provider. Or it's like, I have not been using it because I looked online for Medicube, just in general of like what people recommend, what people don't. They're like, oh, you probably shouldn't use it. But, you know, I was in contact with like the team at Medicube too. They're like, you know, we do have people who do use it, but then we're not gonna like say you can, you know, because I think like they also need to be safe about it. So I haven't been using it. The sunscreen is just one sunscreen that I've been using that I found works the best for my skin and my lifestyle and the way that I like to apply sunscreen. And this is just the Tatcha The Silk Screen. Because it is slightly tinted and it also has niacinamide and hyaluronic acid, I feel like it gives you what you would want in a coverage from a sunscreen, but at the same time, it's like skincare and like a little bit of beauty because it is like very slightly tinted.
So for those of you who are also looking for like tinted, physical, one that I used before was the La Roche-Posay. The La Roche-Posay Ultra Fluid Physical with zinc oxide. This one's actually probably one of the best still. In terms of like shade match, it wasn't overly pink because a lot of the physical sunscreens when they're tinted are like pink. And it's just impossible to blend into your skin if you have even slightly olive undertone or like a more warm undertone. So this one I found worked.
What line is that? Althea?
This is the Anthelios line. And
oh yeah, the Anthelios.
There's 4 shades.
So there have been questions. Do lotions and creams against stretch mark actually work or is it just the massage itself?
Oh yeah, like bio oil and like all that stuff.
Bio oil.
Oh my
so from the research that I've done myself, and this isn't like deep research, this is just what I've seen online. Most people say stretch marks are biological. Like if your mother had it, you're more inclined to have it, or like if someone in your family has it, you're more inclined to have it. I think biological also because depending on your pregnancy, like sometimes people gain a lot of weight, sometimes people gain no weight. Like you don't really know. So if you stay close to the weight that you were before and your body's not stretching and growing in ways that you're not used to, you're obviously not gonna get as much stretch marks. But if you are growing and if your body is changing, which mine has, there are gonna be stretch marks. And I think you can try to prevent it. And the way that they say you can try is to constantly like keep your body moisturized and lotioned so that when it is stretching, it's not like the fibers and everything. Yeah, it's not tearing, but at the same time, like if it does happen to you, the first signs of stretch mark that I've gotten is like on my butt. More recently, probably because we're in 3rd trimester and the girls are starting to like get to work to feed the baby, like under my areola, like that area is starting to like develop like very fine stretch marks. So like obviously it could come at like everybody's different, right? Like some people will get it like on the side of the boob, someone's like all over the boob, someone's like on the actual belly, someone's like on their legs, on their butt. And like obviously if you're not pregnant, you can get stretch marks too.
Everything that you just said about it being biological. Like all your stretch marks that you're getting now, I already had since like a teenager. Like behind the arm, on the leg, the butt, and the inside of the thigh. Oh my god, it used to be like the source of insecurity, but now it's just like, it's so natural, like whatever.
Yeah. Again, every body is different and everyone will go through different experiences. And I feel like, to answer your question, and also my phone just died, so if I look to the side, I'm still looking at Phil. I'm just on my laptop. Okay, so to answer your question on like what can you actually do, I still don't know. Because I'm still going through it. I can share what I have been doing throughout and like the things that I've kind of picked up on the way. So as you all know, and we've talked about this since the dawn of this channel, I need to lotion my body after I shower. So I think because I already got in the habit, it's like nothing new and it's not like a extra process. It's just every time after I shower, from my head to my toes, I am lotioned with Aveeno. And that has not changed. What has changed, or like the very first thing that I did, is because I saw a few reels on Instagram from derms who are like, all of these belly creams don't work. What actually works is Centella Asiatica because it can help promote collagen growth. Or like it can help stimulate collagen production. So the two that I have been using is like the Skin 1004 Madagascar Centella. There's like an intensive ampoule and there's a cream. So this ampoule is like it's like white, creamy, very light, and it just like blends beautifully into your skin. This Probio Cica Enriched Cream reminds me of like snail mucin a little, where it has a little bit of a pull, but then it also feels really nice on your skin, and it feels more like a gel than it is of like a thicker cream. So then these two combined, I would like rub it on my belly because that was the area where I was like, oh no, this is gonna stretch. But lo and behold, it was my butt. So, and the thing is, when I didn't even notice because you can't see your butt and like I'm not like turning around and looking at my butt. But then one day, I think I caught a glimpse of it because it was really itchy. And I think that's kind of usually like the first signs of stretch marks, is like that area will get really itchy, and then I did scratch it. So when it did turn a little pink and a little purple in the beginning, I was like, oh, maybe it's just like, maybe I just scratched it too hard. But then when I really looked at it again, I was like, oh, she's stretching. So then I looked online, I scoured the interwebs for like, I need something that works now. And that's where I came across the bio oil. So this is like the OG bio oil that everyone swears by. I would say that this, like, it does have like instant softening effect for your stretch marks. Like the days that I use it versus the days that I don't, because I still like, depending on how I'm feeling, I'll like use this or I'll use like the Centella. But the days after I use this, stretch marks do fade a little, but then it comes back and then it fades and then comes back. So then, you know, take it as you will. There's this pink version, and then there is like a natural or like more organic version that's like the yellow color. From the reviews that I've read, people say this one works better than the other one, but if you want like more organic ingredients for your body, there is alternatives for that. And on top of like the Centella that I just talked about, one that the derms recommended a lot is the Cicaplast Balm B5 from La Roche-Posay. And this is definitely like a thicker, denser cream that takes slightly longer to work in. Like it still doesn't take an exorbitant amount of time, but then you just have to like work it in a little, especially if you use oil before. So I'll use the oil and then I'll finish it off with the Cica Balm. This is on days where I'm like, I want intense moisture. For body, at the very least, it's either a combination of this or a combination of the bio oil and the La Roche-Posay. And like my belly's been fine. But I think maybe my belly's also growing at like a more reasonable rate. Yeah.
Because basically a stretch mark is like teared skin. It's like torn. And so you can't really like untear it. So to prevent it from tearing in the first place, the best you can do is moisturize. So for your body smells, have you been using deodorants?
I will be no help in this area because I have not.
Okay. All right, let's go to the last section. I don't know how long this will be, but hair is also a really interesting one because people have hair loss. Some people have really thick hair. Some people have like growth everywhere. So what's your experience been like?
Hair has been normal for the most part, other than scalp being a lot oilier, and so I have to shower every other day, which I think has been good for my mental health. I actually think it's been really good just to like get a refresh and to feel good about yourself that like you accomplished something throughout that one day. At least like you check one thing off for yourself. And I think for the most part, I believe hair loss usually comes after you give birth. It's like when you, what is that thing? I always forget.
Postpartum.
No, but it's like there's that term, like when you go through extreme stress and then your hair, you lose a bunch of hair.
Oh, the telogen effluvium?
Yes, that like after you give birth, obviously your body went through a very, very stressful time that you're not used to. And so it's normal for hair to fall out, but then it's also normal for it to grow back. And so I haven't really done much in that department. So anyway, that is the only thing that I can think of when it comes to hair.
Wow, so much to learn. Okay, so then another person asked, and I think this is a great question to wrap. What are the biggest changes you've noticed about yourself as you go through pregnancy? I mean, this could be a whole video on its own, but like, you know, top of mind, front of mind.
I think the best thing that has happened is that I've become such a chill version of myself. Like such a chill version of myself, which I didn't know was possible. Like I'm usually pretty type A, like Myers-Briggs, I'm like for sure a J, even though I've learned to go with the flow with people and to like go with plans and like go along whatever. I can be very agreeable, but I'm still like, I have thoughts and like I have plans and like things need to, like I need to know exactly what's gonna happen when and all these things, and then work is so important and the blah, 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 and then all of it. There's just a lot going on at all times. But I think the moment I found out I was pregnant, I was just like, you're carrying a baby. Your emotions will impact the baby. So be still, my queen. Like when you realize you are housing this like innocent, beautiful, pure being, and that you will become a mother and you will care for this child, like it just so much changes. With all of that in mind, it's just like, I think like I was also ready to just be more chill. So then this is just like, it was a great excuse and a great kind of like push in the butt to be like, do what you need to do and like put everything you've learned into practice. Like all the years we've worked on ourselves, all the years that you've worked on self-care and balancing and all of that, like this is kind of the moment where everything kind of converges. And it's been a beautiful journey just to like watch myself blossom in this other way that like I'm not used to.
Like the chill, do you think it came naturally, or do you think it was like still something you intentionally had to like think about, like how you want to be?
It came very naturally. It was just like, it is time, you will chill, and I'm like, okay.
So a little bit of both. Okay, well, before Rose's camera battery dies, thank you guys all for sending in those questions. We hope we helped any of you along your journey, and for anyone who is also expecting or trying, we're sending all our love to you guys. And leave your experiences with us below, because it's such a unique thing. Like everyone has wildly different experiences, so I'd love to know, Ro would love to know, and we'll catch you in the next one.
My camera already died.
Okay, she says bye. Bye bye.